you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed in attaining all in that which is your need? To be heard by the real answerer of all deeds, the true hero of all whom pleads. Who of you really want to bow down to the true King of Kings commanding the crown? To worship the one that ever rules alone, commanding everything of creation from the seat of its throne.
This is a continuation of our program that we had before concerning the accountability to the message of what the Lord brings forth today. And before we say many things on this program that may sound new to many people that are tuning in for the first time, when we say the name like Ahezaah, it's the same name of the Lord Most High as Allaah, Elohim, Amen-Ra, Osiris, Ptah, of all the names of the Lord that came down the last 7,000 years and more. Part of the day, a message that I easily bring forth to the Lord Holy-Apostle Deen, that he's the bringer and the breaker of the seals. The seven seals that are spoken about in Revelation is 5:5. And as I said before again, there are many things we say on this show that may seem offensive to many of you in religion. But it is not our intention to offend you, but to educate you. What I easily have educated us in was giving forth this information today. So with that being said, we're going to continue on in our conversation. We want to thank you again for tuning in. My brother, always, like I said, we had a joyous time in our last program. You know, I either had us in the spiritual enjoyment of its giving its word through this message of Lord Holy-Apostle Deen. I said, I can recount many stories of personal dealings with him, but the main thing that always stick forth with me is the word that I either bring forth through him, the guidance that is being put forth to help educate, liberate us from the foolishness and the bondage of the world today. I have labored like many people in the world today in my own foolishness. See, I'm not going to go outside. We're going to try to make it plain and keep it simple down to earth so that people can really understand what's being said with us. We're not trying to reach out so far to speak over people's heads. But we're going to speak to them in a way that they can relate to us and we can relate to them, that they accept what's being said on this program. How do you feel about that?
About relating to the people, yeah, and the importance of relating this message to the people. Again, I have to be honest, what's there to feel other than to do, you know?
Okay.
But I thank our Lord Ahezaah much in that a good feeling is given me about participating and getting involved and getting this message out, doing this work that is called out here for the believers of Allaah to do this day, getting out the message that is from Lord Holy-Apostle Deen, the messenger of Ahezaah this day and this time, you know. We talked about accountability.
Right.
Getting out this message is accountability. It's an accountability on the part of myself and yourself as well. Anyone who encounters the truth of this message and who's given to examine it and pay attention to it, and once it's caused by the Lord for them to realize there's some that is valid, that the questions are valid, that the points put forth, however controversial they might be,
right, exactly,
that they're valid. Once the people come and encounter that, then the next step is that you're accountable. This is a day of accountability.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Definitely, definitely. I'm looking back at some of the things I either brought forth through Lord Holy-Apostle Deen. And for the last 26 years, him calling the people to the reality of the Lord Most High, Ahezaah. Allaah then, Ahezaah now, his name today. And him being on the scene in the city of Newark, spreading forth the Lord's message, and many people running away, will not want to be accountable, like you said before, of the truth that he's bringing forth. And here's another thing, as we've been shown now, not to fear it, because truth is never a thing to be feared from. Jesus said something many years in the Bible, you know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And the truth that he's bringing forth, that it's being the truth, is the reality of truth. And Holy-Apostle Deen being a sign of truth. The truth that he brings forth to us has liberated, I know for myself, has been a great liberation, take many shackles off my mental thinking, and as well as my inner being, because I've ran from many things of the world, of my own self, personal, that happened to me. Not wanting to acknowledge those things, but dealing with him being a sign of the Lord, bringing forth that message that the Lord knows you. It caused me to know you better than you know your own self. We've read these things in the Quran for many years, and many people overlook it, misunderstand, don't understand the very word that he's sending forth of his wisdom in the form of a book. And he's part of it being the prophecy of the breaking of the seals, is explaining all those things that have been messed over, have been misinformed, being misinformation given to people, thinking that they're really on the path and the way to the Lord Most High.
Right.
You know.
see that it's in the religions, it's per se
Right.
in the religions, as well as in the politics, as in the education field, as in the communications, as in the media and stuff like that. You know how that's been put forth, and the misinformation and the like has been put forth to the point that the people and been put forth in a pleasant manner, so to speak. You know, because the people want to take hold of something that is and to have gotten used to something that is not true. So then when they hear these words, they come to recognize. I cannot imagine how people cannot recognize these words of wisdom, you know, by the very notion of what I may experience, such as you describe your own inner experience. And when you see these words, it open up. You said it opened up world to world. I said it's like it brings down veils and veils. And just, you know, one thing is made clear, and then I'm thinking that's the clearest thing, and then another thing, it makes it even clearer and clearer. And it's given me, Lord, He's endless in making itself clear to the people. But this is the day that the cross section of people are going to come to face the clarity of the Lord.
Many people, like I said, many people in general have that tendency to think of that old saying, ignorance is bliss. Where I work at my job, this man of faith, the Catholic faith, he made a statement about ignorance is bliss, and he's joking with some sisters, some nuns. And I looked at him, and it caught me in my track, like, it's supposed to be representing the man of the Lord. He made a statement. And we've been taught from the Lord Most High, from the Holy-Apostle Deen, that to ignore something, to become ignorant of something, is to ignore the call, to heed what you've heard. You're ignoring that which is brought forth to you. And in that, people would mistake that for being ignorant and stupid. But it's not stupid. You are ignoring the very thing that can save you. Ignoring the conscience, the voice of your soul, so to speak, of what's being brought forth to you from the Lord. And many people run with that philosophy, and they keep themselves many times in their own darkness of their own mind, because if I don't know about it, I ain't accountable for it. I ain't responsible for what I've heard now. You know?
And the breakdown, the very word ignorance, to say that the word ignore, to turn away from, you know. And I guess it's a world of people that's become comfortable with turning away from certain things, whatever it is that they don't desire to hear, you know. Although they have some hint, or even if they just caught a word of the validity of how true it is, you know, that they turn from it, you know. There was a turning in the time of the mission of Elijah Muhammad, per se. During the time of the Nation of Islam, and what he brought about to the Afro-American people, you know, and getting them to finally look at themselves and recognize themselves as a people who was in a particular situation at a time, you know, and to prepare them. And in preparing those people, Elijah Muhammad began to turn the people away from their established religious choices, those not choices, but their lifestyles, the things that they took a hold of that was for real for them. And it was a shock to them, you know. And if I recall, but even the people that never took hold of Elijah Muhammad, even the people that never took hold of the mission, they were affected by the things that Elijah Muhammad was teaching them about, taking up to themselves, preparing themselves, and looking at themselves. It was a small thing of, well, I shouldn't say that. Certainly there's nothing small with the Lord Ahezaah. It was a significant thing, this mission of Elijah Muhammad, that is now given to us. That Elijah Muhammad was the Elijah who was prophesied in the book of Malachi, in the Holy Bible, you know, in the Old Testament. And in that prophecy, a second portion of what that mission of Elijah was about. What we're saying is this is now that second portion of a major happening that's happening in the world, in this major land, which is called America, which is the Rome of past times, the most major nation.
The modern day Rome.
Yes, of past times. And this mission of Lord Holy-Apostle Deen is in its time, and it's in its place, and it's happening now.
And he's fulfilling the other part of that prophecy that Elijah started. In other words, to turn the father's heart back to the children, and the children's heart back to the father.
It's a mission of Elijah, preparing the people for this time.
Those who are familiar with Elijah's program at that time, those that in the Nation of Islam, many of them know, don't want to acknowledge though, that he told for them to wait. There was someone to come after him. Now we know two particular people that are out there now professing, we won't give names now, but they're out there professing to be a agenda and a divine reminder. And they're out there to do what they're doing.
Yeah, they chose to ignore that message.
The message, right.
Here we are, we're talking about ignorance and the like, you know. And it's a message that's as opposed to what Elijah was sent for. The message today, as opposed to what Elijah was sent for to do for the particular people, and preparing them for the messenger who was going to come from amongst them message of the message of the day, Lord Holy-Apostle, is not just for African Americans. This is the global message. This is the world message. This is the message for, yes, a universal message.
Definitely.
For all people, all walks, and all minds.
Part of it, again, part of that prophecy that he's bringing forth the 144,000, the new soldiers of El. See, we're saying things that people may have read about, but now we're saying it. And they recognize it. We call the new soldiers of El to be a part of this coming down, this Lord's coming today. And we're looking for those people, not membership, but people to come do the work that we sitting here, part of us, our being here is doing. And a greater call to get the world to hear the words of the Lord Most High, to accept this agreement that is sent down today. Part of our being an assembly of Holy-Apostle Deen, part of us being A.H.A.D believers that bring forth today. Part of our sign that he's brought forth, we are the universal religion of truth. And he sent for the whole of mankind. Now he's explained to us that he's a canopy for the world. He's a sign of sacrifice for the world as a Jesus, Moses. But his duty is fulfilled what Isaiah given him for today. And in that, he's one of those message prophets that he's raised to tell the people to look towards it and look towards what is giving him as a sign of what's to come about, either the destruction or in the salvation. What's going on today?
Our mission, our believers, hopefully that we pray that we are of those soldiers of El, as you described, which is described as Israel.
Israel. There you go. Okay, there you go.
We are the new soldiers of El, those who will take hand with Lord Holy-Apostle Deen in this time, in this message. The cause of the Lord of all worlds is going to be on the soldiers of El in this new Jerusalem, or this new city of peace.
City of the New Ark, right? The chosen city.
New city of the New Ark, yes.
The New Ark. And those people that are empowered that we always talk about, because one of the greatest tricks that people say of the devil, that he hides. But Ahezaah blessing us to call out those that empower, so they know that we know who they are. And that Ahezaah calls to recognize who they are by what he's given us through this message of prophet, Lord Holy-Apostle Deen, to call out those devils, those doers of evil, that are trying to take people off from hearing the message that the Lord has given him thus far. And thus far, they look like they're being victorious. But we know, Ahezaah said, it's always the victorious one. They plan and man plan. Now, Ahezaah is the best of planners. People know, read this in his books, but no, Ahezaah's plan never failed. But the many times people fail themselves for not accepting what they're being given. Part of this show, this program, again, us being on here to help spoon feed the people the message what Ahezaah given us, that help liberate us, freed us. Now we're trying to spoon feed them through this television program to hear this message.
And if they take that spoonful of meat, if they take into it sincerely, then they can get back to not acknowledging being accountable. Start being accountable for themselves, accountable for what the Lord of their Creator, who created them in the image of itself, in the particular image of itself. And you can get that teaching another time, but that we can be accountable for what we're supposed to do in service to the Almighty Lord. As a creation, as a part of the will of the Almighty Lord of all worlds. The Lord of the throne, so to speak. The throne being all of creation and beyond. The like.
Yeah, we putting out some things. They say, the Lord of the throne, and many people that we know of that we've come in contact with, they have seen the Lord Most High in a particular region, and they think in the heaven that they call the heavens, and they're just sitting there and does not come down and acknowledge creation. But Ahezaah, part of his liberation, and part of being accountable again to what we're being called to, Ahezaah liberate our mind and realize that Ahezaah's throne is way beyond, is above all that they try to imagine, put it into, people in their own mind try to contain the Lord. But it's beyond containing. But it contains all things and what is manifest.
Including their imaginations.
Even in that.
The imagination is set forth for a function of being given by Ahezaah to have a relationship with it, to be able to relate to it in the capacity that you're given to relate to it. But
part of life, part of living life.
But in the teaching of the books of the Lord, the Lord tells you that it's beyond that. It's greater beyond that. And if it comes to you, and if the people find that you have a message now that is beyond what your previous concepts was or something like that, but at the same time it's making sense and it's clear, making more sense and it's clear, that in itself is a sign. But you have a number of people that turn away from it. They don't want to be accountable for having the information that they've been given. They want to continue to live in the world of their illusion that now has been dispelled. They're supposed to be moving on to the next phase.
It shows them like they're sobering up process. See, when Ahezaah brings forth his message to people, whether they acknowledge it to the messenger when they speak in contact with them, when they go into their quiet time, they've been awakened in some form of fashion to the truth that Ahezaah brings forth to them. Now they're accountable. He always joked with us and tell us though, but it makes so much sense. I feel sorry for many people that come in contact with me. We say, why? Because now they know. They're accountable. And when they pass from this life, whether they believe or not, they're going to stand before the Lord of all the world and they're going to say, ask him about this message, about me. And he's going to tell them, you talk to him, they're going to be like, what? Say what? Say who? You talk to him. You're accountable. So we're letting you know now, those who meet the messenger, give ear. Take a heed to call to what he's saying to you, what he's trying to get across to you. He's not calling you anyway but from the falsehood of the world.
One of the things about the measure of the people, turning away from the word so readily, that's a sign of the power and the majesty of the word in itself. You know, that's a sign that the word is effective, that the word is having its point, you know. So it kind of takes people out of their comfort zone, so to speak. You know, they don't, you know, like I'm, you know, I had this world right here, and I don't want to leave this world. You know, I got this world, whether it's a world that they believe of something good, or whether it's a world of degradation. It's something that they love to hold on to, and they don't want to let it go. Their supposed world of ease and of comfort, you know. That's what they imagine it to be. Being able to mistake of not, in that time, giving due and true credit to the Lord of all worlds for that thing that they have been placed in, that resting place of the world of so-called ease and comfort.
Right. He put something in the booklet that he's doing now, you know, it's called Missing Those Who Think They're Having Fun. I'm just paraphrasing the subtitle of it. But in that thing speaks about what you're talking about. And it was dealing about those who misunderstand, mistranslate, misuse, misappropriate, misinform, always down the line of those things of the myths that people do, thinking that they're representing, being on the path, living this, what they've been given for, and so forth and so on. And as you said before, they think they have what Ahezaah says in the Quran, that fret not what I give them, for they only have that for a little while. But in the end, they'll stand before me and come before the either the hell that for what they've done in the world, or they may come into what they bring forth his peace and his goodness. But accountability is still going hand in hand with all that's being brought forth.
You talk about the people that may have been misinformed. There's a world of misinformation that's intentionally given out by the dupes of the devil and the like.
Oh, definitely.
You may have the innocent people that are misinformed, that they're misled and the like, you know.
Like the cat.
But their trial ultimately comes, their test comes when you hear the words of the messenger. The messenger comes to you after you've encountered all the misinformation in all the religions of the world and all the politics and all the other types of manners in which people are being influenced and the like, you know. But when this great and merciful Lord, as it has done in times past, in the matter of those such as Moses and of Jesus and of Enoch and of Muhammad, sends forth its chosen servant, and it sends forth his voice in a manner in which you understand it, and it's very clear for you, and the like, you know, yes, it becomes disheartening to the people in a manner of those who are holding on to the world that they had before. Exactly. But if they only but knew, it is the greatest of blessings, it is the greatest signs of the reality of the Lord of all worlds, in getting them an opportunity to be truly accountable for the goodly loan that the Lord of all worlds has bestowed, you know, and having them living and breathing and that life of ease and comfort that they have taken for granted so much.
Exactly. You know, definitely. Ahezaah, so first of all, said, part of that accountability, part of that mercy is him being here. Him being a sign of our Lord Most High and giving forth this message. The books that Ahezaah give forth through him that are written down, I said, precursor to the Bible recitation, as well as the Bible recitation, subtitled The Holy Clarifiers, full of the Lord's wisdom. Word that people can go get now, the precursor can go get now, and be for themselves. And then that is calling people again to accountability. It's for warning people about the impending doom of the world, but at the same time, it's also warning them about their salvation in that. And that you hear this message now, you can too come into the personal relationship with the Lord. You hear the Lord's message being forth. You can have a chance to be saved from the very thing that's going to take you out, destroy you.
Well, you talk about accountability, but for the truth seekers, those who are truly seeking truth and the like, and truly seeking the guidance, the precursor to the Divine Book of Recitation, which is now presently in print, which introduces the world to Lord Holy-Apostle Holy-Apostle Deen into the mission for the day and what this time is and the life, this place, the people. For them, it would be a tremendous blessing, and they would have to recognize, it becomes an eye-opener, and it falls to those words that we're sharing with the people,
Right.
That's the most ready way for the people to encounter Lord Holy-Apostle Deen, is to seek out and pick up a precursor in the line of the recitation, It's presently in print,
Right.
It's presently in print.
And people, those who out there pick up on his spirit, that they come in contact with him. And many may not really recognize, what is it about him that draws me to him? What is it about him? The words that he gives forth. He speaks with one, not one guessing, he speaks one with authority. He speaks one who's convicted in what he's been given. He's confirmed and reaffirmed by the Lord Most High what he's to do. And people see that and say, he's not shaken by what the world do, what the world say, what's going on in the world. He's only a sign, like I said, of the Lord, what he's given forth today. And that he's firm in what this Lord had promised him and what he's given him to do, of his duty, his responsibility. And a part of our accountability is being here to help in the cause, in the calling of that what is sent forth today. And people out there need to know that this is real. Right? Even sent forth and what's being said to you is real. Yes. This is a time that is real, that is now. It's present, and people need to know that what's going to come off the next couple of years is the thing that is real. Nothing being fake. You watch the program, the Weather Channel, you watch the different programs, they're showing the weather patterns is all off. All these things is being marked, being documented. And they're not sharing with the people with the real responsibility, with the real duty of what's really happening to them. And we're calling people, he's calling people to, this is what the Lord is doing. He's saying this is the Lord doing this. And people are still saying, no, the Lord ain't doing that. It's the devil. But no, give praise and credit with all due belongs to our Lord, Most High. It's the doer.
We say in picking up precursor, which is prepared, that's when the people get the ready ability to ready access to see what the messenger is saying. We have met the messenger personally. We know of his spirit. We met him. We want the audience. What we want is the audience to pick up on the spirit and see that this man is true of his Lord. This is, in fact, a real happening today. Just as real as it was in past time. Just as real as it was during the time of Jesus of Nazareth, during the time of Moses, during the time of Muhammad, during the time of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, during so many of the past times, when man, and it's even for this, and whereas it is the reality just as much as those previous realities, it's its own thing right now. It is its own message. This is a message of a particular day and time that a number of people have been preparing for, have been supposedly looking for in their religious studies and the like. This is a day of reckoning. This is the day when Ahezaah is going to make itself clear. It's going to make itself known before all the people, so that all the people can actually see the reality of the Lord of all worlds. That the Lord of all worlds is a reality that is independent of your imagination and of the illusions of your minds and the like.
His words have been, for us, have been prominent, have been pronounced for years. People have heard these words, many have come into contact with him. And that what you speak is true and is real. Because what Ahezaah manifests today, and what's going on, like you're talking about, what's going on today. Many people are shaken up because they know what he said to them many years ago is coming into pass now. He talked about that if I say it, but I acknowledge it, that means he's true, he's real. And that's many people's problem today. They don't acknowledge that who Lord Holy-Apostle really is today. He is the messenger prophet for this day and time. We had to call it what it is. Whether people believe in the world, Ahezaah give us to know this. What is showing the signs of him, and what he's being brought forth today.
We were talking about not wanting to make people uncomfortable or supposedly hurting people, insulting or whatever, but so be it. It's not a matter of insult. If truth is what insults you, then you had better turn and look at yourself and be curious as to why truth is, in fact, an insulting type of thing, and instead of why the teachings of the many false prophets over time, instead it's a less insulting thing. It's something that you want to take hold of. The Lord Ahezaah is coming without any compromise. As I had said, the people had seen in their so-called teachings and under their religious assemblies and the like, there's no compromise in this day. This is the day in which you're going to get the best of that.
And part of that thing that people see today, many of those people that they profess to believe in have compromised. One thing I realized, and I think Ahezaah much for being a coming Lord Holy-Apostle Deen, He's a man of no compromise. He's firm. Part of his prophecy being Samuel the resurrected one, the ferocious warrior spirit that he's to give him, firm and convinced, like I said, what he's been given and what he has responsibility to do. And he does not waver from the sign that the Lord gave him to give to the people. Now, many people may waver from what they hear from him, and they're wavering, but he's always stationed. He's always fixed in what he's to give him.
Answer some of the questions when we read the books of the Old, how the people wavered in the face of Moses and in the face of Jesus, in the face of Muhammad. How in the face of those words that we now look and say, well, those are very profound words. How can they waver?
Right.
Yeah, you can explain by you looking at it today. And the people of today, when they encounter Lord Holy-Apostle Deen, those who are favored to encounter him in personal dialogue, and those who are going to take hold of the different writings that are about. We got pamphlets out, we've got newsletters out floating about. We have a book. There's a book now that is present that's available for those who want to go through the book. And it explains to me, the power of the word. The words are powerful. The words are cutting, and it opens up the people to their inner worlds, and it also affirms the insanity that's going on in the outer world. We're not only talking about the strange weather occurrences, we're talking about the insanity of society as well.
Right.
I tell you.
They're told many times. They said we always hear people speaking about him as Holy-Apostle Deen, stay away from him. Don't come near him. Stay away from what the message bringing forth. And I'm always curious to wonder why I say stay away if you never actually come yourself and listen to what he had to say. Many people are going on the words of other people, again, part of it being misguided from the truth that he's bringing forth.
But communication has been sent out. There's been letters been sent out to a number of people in the world, noteworthy people. People in the heads of religion, people in the heads of government, and the heads of politics, and the heads of entertainment and the media world.
But like we said before, and their leaders are told what? To tell them, don't acknowledge.
Yes,
don't speak about them publicly. Don't mention them.
Yeah.
But I always look back to years ago when one of the ladies on television, Kylie Tongue, I believe, and she mentioned out of the blue, they're still messing with prophets today. And I seen almost the demise of her career, so to speak. She went from Channel 7 to the more local stations,
Yes.
And because all of what she let slip from her tongue. So those in the know, they know that he is real. It's for the people in the world that they've been told by their leaders that he's real, they will never acknowledge who and what he is. But we here on this program let you know who and what he is and why he is here. Part of this program, get this message out why letting you know that he is real. That he's a sign of the Savior for today. He's been coming with the one and giving the Lord's covenant for the people today. He's the one that's the saving grace for today. He's a sign of the Lord Most High that is manifested as a sacrifice for the world.
But the people don't just take our word for it here on the program itself. We stress to the people, this is the time for them to investigate and to look into what is that we're putting forth. It's very important.
Those who want to know more about us, you come down to our spot that's hot, 8 Lions Avenue. That's the spot where he's bring forth his message for the day. Part of our being here is, again, we want to thank you for tuning in to this program. And I had moments to calm you through the storm. Like I said, investigate what he's giving you, investigate what he's giving you, investigate what he's giving you. Don't take it upon others to think for you. Think for yourself. That's all we say there. Think for yourself. And thank you for tuning in and have a good night.
Who of you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly